Whenever we buy any product, we spend an ample amount of time looking at review section, checking to see what products have positive reviews and what products have negative reviews. Same as with shoes. So we look at things like the feedback of the customer with regards to the shoes that they wear. Some are bad, some are good. We are often left confused as to what's going to be the best shoes for us. And then one more thing, we saw a specific type of shoe that has a very good or has a positive review. 35 out of 50 have positive review on that specific shoe. And then you bought it, and then after you tried it at home and wore it, it doesn't feel good on your foot and your foot still hurts. So that's what we're going to tackle right now, and make sure that you pick the right shoes every single time, especially if you have PF or plantar fasciitis. By the way guys, I'm Gorby and I'm a physical therapist. I'm here to help you guys, everyone, live a life that is pain-free. So I make videos and contents online that tackles a lot of the injuries or problems that we have. So if you wanted to be updated and you wanted to live a life that is pain-free, please click that subscribe button and notification bell so you guys won't miss out on the videos that I will put up in here. We've already spent hours and hours looking online, checking reviews, checking to see what people are buying, and then checking what's hot with regards to the best shoes that can help us with or treat plantar fasciitis. But more often than not, a lot of us have failed. We bought the shoe, didn't work well for our foot, didn't work well for our condition, and we still live in pain. I want you guys to avoid this problem. And you probably guys will hate me for this one. But instead of looking at shoes, I want us to take time and look at our foot first. So if we wanted the best shoes that is tailor fit for us, we have to understand and have a knowledge on what type of foot will that shoe fit in. So instead of looking at shoes in general, we should look at where will it fit. So sometimes these shoes will work for one person and will not work for you, for example, because you have different foot type. Even though you have the same shoe, it's not the same foot. By us getting to know or understanding how our foot works and what foot type we are, especially dynamic foot posture, we can avoid this problem and we can pick out the best shoes tailor fit specifically for our foot. So what we're gonna be looking at right now is our foot posture, or what type of profile our foot has. And it's really important for us to know first and understand, and for us to be able to assess by ourselves our foot posture. So I'm here to help you guys be able to give you clues and assessment tips so you know what your foot type is. Once you know what your foot type is, you can pick out the best shoe for that foot. Assessing foot posture statically, for example, meaning you're just standing there and then a machine or someone is assessing your foot, have some value, but it doesn't really give us a lot of information. Especially if we're gonna buy shoes, we guys need to be able to assess our foot posture and movement dynamically. If you guys think about it, biomechanically, both pronation and supination is not a posture at all, or a foot position. So pronation is a movement, and then same thing with supination. It's a normal biomechanical movement that happens on our foot whenever we walk, run, sprint, or jog. Pronation happens the first time we step our foot on the ground, so that heel strike, so our foot flattens and everything spreads out for the foot to absorb load and shock. And then once everything is absorbed and it's ready to propel our body forward, it creates that supination mechanics so that we can move efficiently and we can move well. It's important because we're not just going to stand with our shoes. When we buy that shoe, we have the intention of using it, meaning we're gonna walk, meaning we're not just going to stand. So static posture have some value, but it doesn't really help us a lot, especially if we have foot pain or PF. Okay guys, so there are a lot of assessments out there that teaches you how to assess your foot, but a lot of it is complicated, and I'm here to make it very simple for you guys. So assessing our foot posture or how our foot moves dynamically means we're gonna be walking. So I'm gonna give you 3 ways on how to assess your foot dynamically, and you can choose which of these tests you wanted to use, or you can combine these 3 tests for you to make an informed decision and for you to solidify your findings on your assessment. So the first step in assessing foot posture is looking at your foot pressure when you walk. So people who tend to be overpronators, when they walk, they will feel their foot pressure on the inner side of your foot. So what I want you to do, guys, is for you to stand up. Of course, you have your shoes, and then just walk. And then while walking, be conscious of your foot pressure. If you feel it on the inner side of the foot, it's more than likely that you are an overpronator. If you feel it on the outer side of the foot, it's more than likely that you are an oversupinator. If you don't feel it either on inner side or outer side, most likely your foot pressure is distributed properly, so you don't have any problem with that, and you can categorize your foot as it moves neutral, meaning it can access both pronation and supination properly or well. So if you guys haven't seen the topic on foot pressure, so just go back on the 3rd series of this plantar fasciitis series. So we talk about weight, plantar fasciitis, and the secret sauce for plantar fascia treatment, which is your foot pressure. If you look at it, so we have this tripod posture or tripod position of the foot, wherein we need to be able to have foot pressure on the ball of the foot, on the toe, on the big toe, and on the heel. So if you're overpronator, so you don't feel half of that triangle and you just feel it on the inner side of the foot. If you're an underpronator or your foot is overly supinated, you will feel it. You'll just feel your foot pressure when you are walking on the outside of the foot. Okay guys, the second way for you to assess your foot dynamically is to look at your shoes. So your shoes don't lie, because that's what you wear. It records the history of your foot movement. So if you have a shoes that is like 6 months old, that's a good specimen to review and check on how your foot moves or how your foot behaves when you walk. Overpronators' tendency is to wear the inner side of the soles of your shoes more than the outer side. And it's the reverse with oversupinators, wherein they wear more the outer part or the pinky part of the shoes, while neutral foot people wear shoes in the middle. So that's how you can see and check and assess what's your foot profile by just looking at your shoes. The third one, which is probably the most tedious one, is for you to record yourself walking. So you need a friend and you need a treadmill for this test. You ask them to film the back part of your foot, so on the heel part, and you start walking on the treadmill. While they're recording, it has to be on a slow motion, and then you have to observe how your heel moves when it flattens or touches the ground and the treadmill. People who are overpronators, their heel turns outward and then their ankles turn in when they are overpronators. And then it's the reverse with people who are oversupinator, wherein they have this high arc. They cannot turn in on their ankle and foot, and then just plant the outer side of their foot and then propel it up. Once you understand how your foot moves, how your foot behaves, you can now start looking at shoes for your specific foot type. So guys, when we walk, it's normal for us to feel both the inner and the outer side of the foot whenever we're walking. So it depends on the phase of the gait, or it depends on what the gait cycle the foot is experiencing when it's walking. But normally, when you start to place your foot or your heel on the ground, the pressure should be on the inner side of the foot more than the outer side. And then as soon as it tries to propel or like lifts the heel up, it transfers towards the outer part of the foot and then goes back again on the inner side on the toe area for the final push off. So it's sort of a sinusoidal curve. Whenever we place our foot on the ground, that's the foot pressure, more of a sinusoidal curve. But again, for those of you guys who are over pronators, it's more on the inner side, and then for over supinators, it's more on the outer side. Okay guys, so now it's time to take a look at shoes. So the best shoes in general, whether you have PF or not, so the criteria is only one thing, and that is comfortability. The best shoes is the one that you are most comfortable wearing. That's it. That's the only thing. If you're looking for the best shoes in general, whether you have PF or not, that's the only thing you're gonna look at. Comfortability. You don't have to break in with the shoe if you feel that it doesn't feel right on the first step wearing that shoes. It doesn't really matter. The reason is, if you're not comfortable, it will alter your gait pattern and it will create other dysfunction in the body. So you're gonna compensate because you're not really comfortable with your foot and ankle. So it will create other dysfunctions and problem, which is not going to be healthy for our body in general. So look for the most comfortable shoes for your foot. Now, so that's the first category, comfortability. Now, if you have over pronation, aside from comfortability, you wanted to be looking at shoes that will give you support. So meaning those shoes that have more stability on it. These shoes are not lightweight, so they feel heavy. It's very rigid, meaning you can't really rotate the shoe so much because it's rigid on the middle part of it and then on the rear part of it. So if you're overly pronated, look for comfortability, and the next thing to look at is, does this shoe provide support? Now, if you're on the other side of the coin wherein you're overly supinated, so more often than not, your foot is already rigid. So you wanted shoes that is not rigid and is designed for cushion. So meaning this type of shoes are those lightweight shoes that you can just play with it, rotate and roll. So those are the kind of shoes that you want if you are an over supinate. Now, I haven't yet talked about the best shoes if you have PF, but this is in general. But don't worry guys, of course I'll tell you what's the best shoes for PF. But again, if you're general population, look at comfortability, and then if you're pronated, look for shoes that provide support. If you're overly supinated, look for shoes that will provide you cushion. Okay, so now guys, let's talk about the best shoes for PF or for plantar fasciitis. And I'm really sorry guys to disappoint all of you, but there's no such thing as best shoes for PF or for plantar fasciitis. The shoes won't cure your plantar fasciitis, period. Your shoes can help your foot be able to bear weight in acute cases wherein you have flare-ups of PF or plantar fasciitis, but it won't treat or cure the problem or the root cause. It will help you with the pain. Just follow that guideline, comfortability, Plus, if you're pronated, look for shoes with support. If you're overly supinated, look for shoes that will provide you cushion, but only in acute cases. Because if you're someone who's overly pronated, what the shoes does is prevent your foot from pronating. And if you're someone who's overly supinated, what the cushion does is help you pronate. But guys, like I told you, both pronation and supination is a normal movement or biomechanical movement that needs to happen on our ankle to keep our plantar fascia healthy. So if you're stopping a certain movement from happening, it's not going to help your plantar fascia. At the beginning, in acute cases or acute phases, of course, shoes will help you. But then again, it won't cure the problem. What will cure the problem is for your foot to both access pronation and supination properly. And you can do that through exercise. So there are specific exercises that you can do to access both pronation and supination, because supination is not bad and pronation is not bad. So as humans, if I'm gonna ask you guys, which would you choose, your left hand or your right hand? So some of you might say, of course, my dominant hand, my right hand. Some of you might say, of course, my left hand. But guys, we need both. If I'm gonna choose, I need both. And same thing with our foot. We need both that pronation movement and we need both that supination movement. And that's what's going to cure your PF or your plantar fasciitis. Again, guys, shoes is recommended if your case is acute, meaning there's a flare up, meaning you got this new diagnosis of PF or plantar fasciitis, or you have PF before and then you had a flare up, but you still need to function. Of course, you need the right kind of shoes for that. If you have PF, leather shoes won't help you. So if you can ask your boss or someone at work for them to give you grace and for you to wear the right kind of shoes for your foot. I'll list all the shoes in the description down below, by the way. You better ask them for that grace and support. Leather shoes is not good. Heels, especially for those of you girls, so heels, please don't wear heels if you have PF. It's not going to help. And then the third one is those Vibram shoes or those barefoot shoes. If you have a flare up, it's not going to help you with your PF. Sort your PF first and then try that Vibram shoes or that barefoot shoes, because it can help you access both pronation and supination, but not in acute cases. You need those Hoka shoes or bionic shoes or UFO shoes for you to be able to help you with your pain. But again, guys, only in acute cases, because it's not going to fix the problem. It's just going to reduce down the pain, but it's not going to totally fix or totally get rid of your PF. So you might not feel the pain for 2 weeks, 6 weeks, or months, but it will come back. And when it comes back, it might be more painful. So better target the root cause right away. So guys, if you like the video or you hate me for the video, please guys still like the video and subscribe in the channel. So I'm giving you guys my best tip on how to get rid of PF. And this is the fourth of the series on plantar fasciitis. So we've discussed what plantar fascia is and why it hurts. We've also discussed the differential diagnosis, those cases that mimics PF. And then the third one, we discussed how foot pressure and our weight affects plantar fasciitis. And then the next one we're gonna talk about are some manual therapy treatments that you can do to reduce your heel pain or help you with your PF. So it's going to be an in-depth explanation why some of the soft tissue treatment is working and some of it is not, and it will again guys, depend on your foot posture or how your foot moves. So I'll be giving you guys an in-depth explanation on why it works and what's the best soft tissue treatment if you have this certain type of foot posture or movement. So please guys, watch out for that content. So it will definitely help you get rid or totally get rid of that PF right away. See you guys in the next video.